Welcome to Sparks of History, where world history and Jewish history meet. We are very, very pleased to be joined today by noted author Jean Heuts. Ms. Heuts' books include The Bones You Have Cast Down, a novel set in late medieval Italy, the Cosmic Tarot book. Her writings have appeared in numerous publications, including the New York Times, the Kenyan Review, the Millions, North American Review, Plowshares on the Seawall, and Civil War Monitor. She is the co-founder of Circling Rivers, an independent press dedicated to poetry and literary nonfiction. See right there. Ms. Heuts is a member of the James River Writers and the National Book Critics Circle. And today we will be discussing fascinating work of Ms. Heuts with Walt Whitman himself. Just a gorgeously laid out book, deeply researched, with every page is a gem, really just a gem. It takes you through Walt Whitman, his life, his poetry, his influences, his friends, his companions. It's just a pleasure to read. Just to begin, just a little bit about your background and how you became interested in Walt Whitman.
Well, I don't have a particularly dramatic background. My father was an Army officer, U.S. Army officer. He met my mother in Venice, Italy, where she grew up. And we moved around a lot. And I think maybe that and having a European mother made me a little bit of an outsider because I was always the new kid. And that's one of the connections I have with Walt Whitman. He felt a bit of an outsider himself. And, but I had a happy childhood. Back then we had a lot of freedom, and my sister Jo and I rambled all over the place outside, which was another thing that Walt Whitman did a lot in his childhood. But we read Walt Whitman in school, like most kids do. And the thing, I can't say that I really got into Walt Whitman when I was in elementary school and high school, but in college, one day, one of my college professors was actually making fun of Walt Whitman. And he was making fun, particularly of the poem When Lilacs Last and the Dooryard Bloomed. And he said, who can read this, without sounding ridiculous? Because there's a lot of lines that start, oh. And a boy in our class, a young man, I should say, in an ROTC uniform, volunteered, and he read it so beautifully. And my teacher was, I could tell he was like, wow, okay, you win. And that's what got me into Walt Whitman, is hearing his poetry read so beautifully and well. And then it just kind of went on from there. Another connection that I have with him is that he lived during a time that I find historically quite fascinating. And if I can I share the screen?
Absolutely.
Okay, I'll try to do this without too much. Oh, okay, so, okay, I guess you need to allow me to share the screen. But anyway, Walt Whitman lived in the 19th century. And in American history, that was just an incredible time of change and tumult and really eccentric movements and utopias. And it was when American literature really became itself, in part, of course, because of Whitman, but also the people who went before him. For example, Ralph Waldo Emerson, who sort of, in my mind, sort of paved the way for Whitman to do what he did, which is to create a very American literary tradition in poetry.